The Cedar Run is about 171 acres of protected pineland forest. We also run a nature center, and we are a wildlife rehabilitation hospital. So we're certified by the state, but we're not federally funded.
For anyone who doesn't know about Cedar Run, we were started back in the 50s by the Woodford family, and they own the property here. They just had a home here, spent the summers here, and eventually Mrs. Woodford was very much into nature. She was into wildlife. People started to bring injured animals to her. So one of the first animals they got was a great horned owl, and her family were able to rehab the great horned owl, release it back into the wild.
And there was nothing out here. It was just woods. It wasn't even really a road. And in about 1957, she started a wildlife rehabilitation hospital. She was a locally well-known botanist and tour guide, and she led this really great 3-day canoe trip down the Pinelands rivers and taught everybody about the wildlife and the ecology of the Pinelands. And out of all that, here we are today. We, the organization, purchased the property through a Green Acres grant and a donation by the family in 1998. And so since then, the organization has owned 171 of that original 185 acres. And we've been existing as an independent private nonprofit ever since.
Animals that come through our hospitals sometimes are releasable, and that's our main goal, is to release the animals that we get into our hospital.
If not, we use the animals here. People are able to come and visit them, and we use them for education purposes. So we can take them out to schools, we bring them to festivals, libraries. So I work with the kids mostly. They come to us for field trips, and we also go out to schools because a lot of schools aren't able to get busing funds and things like that. We're still able to bring the animals to them instead. So we're either out in the woods with the kids or bringing animals into schools.
We have about 60 resident animals, ranging everything from foxes to deer to all different types of birds of prey, hawks, owls, eagles. We have small things, even like turtles. We have box turtles, we have some snakes. Our animals are very interesting and very unique to the Pinelands. We even have a barred owl. His name is Squam. He's one of our most popular animals, I would say. He came to us after being found down on the side of the road. He was in a form of coma, but after they were able to get him out of that, they found that he had enough damage to his eye that his left eye is completely blind and his right eye has really bad cataracts, so he really can't see too well. But he also has some issues with grabbing onto stuff. So he's a great program animal because he's very docile and he just is very relaxed, but he also looks really nice.
So when people bring us wildlife, because it is so many different animals, we aren't able to go out and pick the animals up. Occasionally we'll have a volunteer that is able to go, but we rely on people to bring them to us. So usually we'll ask that people call ahead, make sure it is an animal that does need help. If it's not injured, if it's just a baby, it might be able to stay where it is rather than coming to us. So we'll have people call us, we can give them advice on what to do, how to pack them up and bring them in. And then we'll care for them once they are received here.
We take the animal in and we have our wildlife rehabber assess the animal and see, what kind of injuries it has, is it sick, what kind of medications it needs, and then we set up kind of a little area for it to de-stress and be by itself, and then we continue treatment on from there, depending on what they need. So we really just try to do whatever we can to get them back to their peak health and release them back into their home. So it's definitely hard when an animal comes in and they're just really not in a good state.
If this is an animal in crisis, we figure out what's the best cause of action. A lot of times, quite often, there are not ambulance service for wildlife like there are for humans. And so a lot of times the animals that we're seeing are in shock and dehydrated. And so the first thing we do is stabilize them. Fluids and stabilize and get them warm. And then we'll be able to better assess what the actual injuries are.
Around here, a lot of the times we see animals with gunshot wounds from hunters. So it kind of breaks your heart a little bit to see that happen. An animal come in and they're struggling and they're bleeding a lot and they're just not looking good. So that's definitely a challenge, is keeping your head level and being able to just like overcome and shut off all the emotions that you feel bubbling up inside of you in order to just provide them with the best care that they need extremely at that moment in time.
So I think that the greatest impact that we have is with our education programs, because the truth is we can rehabilitate all the wildlife that we want. It's not going to do any good unless the habitat exists that the wildlife need in order to thrive. The way that the habitat is going to be there next year, 10 years, 50 years from now, is by educating children and the public of the need to protect that habitat. So that is, in fact, our greatest impact. So we are a community-based organization, but with a global reach, because that's what we're trying to teach, is that people can do things in their own backyard that can have an impact on a much wider level.